These things were massively efficient, and I'm surprised they don't use some of this technology today in cars. This is pretty neat. I like it.
How'd you get this?
Well, it's been folded up in one of my mom's bureaus for quite some time. Her father worked at the Pentagon, brought these home.
The episode kicks off not with rare treasure, but with thermostat warfare. Rick storms in complaining his office is freezing, while Corey and Chum insist it's perfect. Chumley throws the first punch, saying, "Old people get cold easily. So do bald people. You've got both savage." Rick mutters about adjusting the thermostat, but Corey smirks and says customers shop faster when it's hot. Pawn shop family therapy? Nope, just thermostat trolling at its finest.
Hey guys, did you guys mess with the thermostat?
Why?
No, I was just in my office. It's cold.
Then comes the star item, Beatles memorabilia. A seller strolls in with 2 tickets to the A Hard Day's night preview screening, claiming they're one of a kind. He asks for $800. Rick geeks out, explaining how 1964 haircuts were considered risque, while Corey mocks him for sounding like Mr. Moviephone. Rick's history lesson kicks in. This was the Beatles' first full-length film, making collectors drool over anything tied to it. Corey still shrugs, muttering, Justin Bieber had a movie too.
You know the part I love about this the most? Believe it or not, in 1964, those haircuts were risque.
The seller insists these tickets are unique, but Rick admits he's clueless and calls in his Beatles expert. The seller leaves shocked that Corey dared compare the Fab Four to Bieber. Honestly, I'm shocked too. Sacrilege. Meanwhile, Rick beams at the thought of Beatles fans bidding for his latest prize. This shop buys gold, guns, and jewelry, but somehow, 2 paper tickets might be the hottest item of the week.
I think that that's a fair price. They were printed only for that show, and I believe there are no other tickets.
Before the expert arrives, another seller shows up with a bizarre women's pocket watch. Rick cracks. Did women have tiny pockets back then? Turns out, it's not a pocket watch at all, but a pendant watch by Gruen. The back features a black widow spider, which Rick hilariously points out isn't exactly the most romantic wedding gift. The female kills the male after mating. Imagine proposing with a symbol of death. No wonder the great-grandmother hated it.
No, black widows, they mate, and then the female spider kills the male spider and eats him.
The seller hopes for $1,000, but Rick crushes the dream. He explains women don't really collect antique watches and admits if it wasn't gold, he'd just pay scrap. His offer? $200. The seller tries for $300, but Rick stands firm. She caves instantly, joking, "That's why my husband married me." Honestly, fastest negotiation ever. Rick didn't even have to sweat. The spider lives to crawl another day.
It's a lady's watch. Women really don't collect old watches.
Enter Warwick, the hard rock curator, to appraise the Beatles tickets. He confirms they're 100% real and in mint condition, since they weren't folded. His verdict? If they were for the London premiere, maybe thousands. But for New York, around $350 to $400 each. The seller's $800 dream collapses faster than a boy band reunion tour. Rick smirks. Time to deal.
Are we going? You taking me? Well, this is one of my favorite movies. This is the Beatles. This is just the bomb.
Negotiations heat up. The seller clings to $650. Rick digs in at $400. Back and forth ensues. $550, $525, and finally, they land at $500 flat. The seller smiles, saying he'll use the money to take his daughter to dinner. Rick beams, happy to snag Beatles history without paying too much. Somewhere, Corey is still muttering about Bieber.
Okay, he says they're worth $700 to $800. If I pay you $800, I'm not gonna make anything, okay?
Back to the thermostat drama. Chum vote to keep it at sauna mode, while Rick insists he's the boss. Rick finally installs a lockbox over the thermostat to prove dominance. Chum shrugs, refusing to get involved, claiming, "The old man signs my paycheck." Rick fumes, saying the stamp is his signature. Folks, this is less about temperature and more about proving alpha status.
And if it's legit, we'll make a deal.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to think that this one's real. It's scary to buy it online, but...
Meanwhile, a seller arrives with an 1850 Millard Fillmore Indian Peace Medal. He hopes for $15,000, bragging he scored it online. Rick raises an eyebrow. Faking a Fillmore medal seems absurd, but he's cautious. If real, it's rare. Rick calls in coin expert Dave. The seller beams with pride, convinced he's holding treasure.
What do we got?
I've got a 1850 Millard Fillmore Presidential Indian Peace Medal.
Is Millard Fillmore even a president?
Wasn't expected to be, but
Yeah.
his
Dave inspects it carefully. He explains Indian peace medals were highly prized by chiefs, often buried with them. Real ones could be worth tens of thousands, but this one? Way too light, details fuzzy, cast counterfeit. Dave shuts it down, calling it a bad fake. The seller's face crumbles. He mutters, "Why would anyone fake Fillmore? Everyone hated him." True, but apparently counterfeiters will fake anything if silver's involved.
It shows a settler instructing an Indian in the ways of modern agriculture. Behind is a very large American flag.
Rick politely passes, while the seller leaves still in denial. Rick just shrugs, saying he dodged a bullet. Somewhere, Fillmore is sighing from the afterlife. Even in fakes, he can't catch a break. This shop really sees it all. Rare gold, Beatles tickets, and presidential imposters.
The way to tell is even if a metal like this.
But thermostat wars rage on. With the keys hidden, Rick sweats in his black vest, snapping at Chum to find them. Chum refuses, saying it's between Rick and Corey. Rick threatens to dock his pay if the box gets broken. Chum just laughs, enjoying the meltdown. The old man looks on, amused at his son losing a power struggle over air conditioning. Honestly, this is less Pawn Stars, more Survivor HVAC edition.
Not a particularly good counterfeit. The first rule of thumb for collecting coins is buy the book before you buy the coin.
And that's how this episode wraps. Rick buying Beatles tickets, flipping a spider watch, dodging a fake medal, and losing to Corey in the thermostat war. The shop's chaos proves once again, you never know what's more valuable. History walking in the door or watching Rick sweat bullets while his family trolls him. In this case, I'd bet on the thermostat drama every time.
No, I wanted a little box on the wall.
And now there's a box on the wall and no one can mess with the thermostat. How's it feel?
The episode opens with Corey bragging about his weekend plans, absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Chumley claims he's hiking to get his workout on, which Corey immediately calls out as fake. The old man joins in, bragging that back in his day he walked 2 miles to school. Corey claps back, saying it was probably before shoes were invented, suggesting he wore raccoons on his feet. Folks, we're 30 seconds in and we've already got raccoon footwear.
So, Corey, what are you doing this weekend?
Absolutely nothing. It's gonna be great.
I'm going hiking.
Then comes the first big item, a customer wheels in a hit-and-miss engine. Rick lights up instantly. This is nerd heaven for him. He explains how it was one of the first gasoline motors, lighter and more efficient than steam engines. Rick demonstrates the pop, pop, pop sound it makes, and the customer just nods along, clearly impressed with Rick's enthusiasm. It's one of those moments where Rick sounds like he's explaining the universe while the rest of us just see a rusty engine.
Okay.
It's a genuine hit and miss. Now, I think it was the salesman's sample.
Rick gushes further, saying farmers loved these engines in the late 1800s because they were efficient and reliable. He even explains how the exhaust valve stays open so the machine coasts until more power is needed. The seller admits he wants $3,500, but Rick smirks, saying a brand new one costs that much today. Rick calls it rode hard and put away wet, and offers $1,500. They haggle, land at $1,800, and Rick beams like he just bought the Ferrari of farm tools.
There, it goes boom, and it goes pop.
You do know about these, huh?
Yeah, and it was called a hit and miss because it wasn't like a regular gasoline engine.
Back in the shop, Corey and Chum are still joking about hiking, trying to rope the old man into coming. Chum insists they'll get him something special for the trail. Maybe a scooter, maybe a horse. The old man shuts it down, saying he rode a caribou in the Philippines once, and Rick jumps in to clarify it's basically a reindeer. Corey insists it's a bull. Nobody agrees, and the argument spirals into chaos. Conclusion? Nobody knows what a caribou actually is.
Boo, I can ride a horse.
Yeah.
What the hell? You can't.
When I was in the Philippines, I rode a caribou.
What the hell is a caribou?
Then comes pure 90s nostalgia. A seller brings in a Turbo Man action figure from the movie Jingle All the Way. Chumley's eyes light up as he recalls Arnold Schwarzenegger running around trying to buy the toy for his kid. The seller brags it's case fresh and flawless. He wants $150 each for his pair. Chumley, unimpressed, offers $75 apiece. They banter. The seller tries to sweeten the deal by throwing in the VHS movie, but Chum still lowballs, closing at $175 total.
Everybody in the country could relate to that movie because that same year, Tickle Me Elmo was coming out.
Oh, that was the same year?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Rick gets something far more historic. A seller arrives with an 1864 Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson campaign poster. Rick nerds out, explaining how unusual it was to even have an election during a war. He points out Lady Liberty, the eagle, and the plowing farmer printed on it, explaining the symbolism of 19th century propaganda. The seller bought it at a garage sale and wants $1,000. Rick isn't sure if it's legit, but if it is, it could be a jackpot.
That's really cool.
I mean, there's certain things you have to give Abraham Lincoln. You know, normally a country in the middle of a war is...
Rick calls in Mark Hall Patton, who confirms the colors are faded, the paper damaged, but the design matches originals. Mark declares it an authentic 1864 Currier and Ives poster. The seller looks thrilled. Rick looks like he's already calculating profits. But then Mark drops the bomb. Pristine versions sell for $9,000, but in this condition, not even close. Rick instantly throws out an offer of $500, pushing it up slightly to $600 after the seller pushes back. They close the deal, seller leaves happy.
Very nice. But they used this poster for probably 20 years.
Back to the comedy. Chumley's hiking trip transforms into a horseback riding trip. Corey panics, admitting he's terrified of horses. He imagines getting bucked off a cliff. Chum insists it's safe, calling it hiking while sitting down. Corey flat out refuses, saying this is why he never agrees to hang out with Chum. You can't blame him. One minute it's hiking, the next it's rodeo stunts. Classic Chumley chaos.
Stoked the old man agreed to come on a horseback riding trip. Now I just have to find Corey and let him know the good news.
The horseback riding scene is pure comedy gold. They show up and instead of desert trails with mountain breezes, they're literally in a suburban circle near an apartment complex. Rick groans that it's just left turns around the block. Chum tries to hype it up, but Corey refuses to ride, clinging to his horse phobia. The old man brags again about caribous, insisting he can still ride. Rick shuts him down, saying Mom would kill him if he let Grandpa get bucked off.
I'm pretty good. For once, Chum had a great idea for us all to go horseback riding. The gorgeous morning.
In the end, only Rick saddles up. He mutters, "Come on, girl," as the horse circles lazily in the neighborhood. Chum giggles, and the old man calls Rick a pain. Instead of epic desert trails, it looks like Rick's doing equestrian NASCAR, just laps around a cul-de-sac. Pawn Stars promised us a cowboy adventure, but instead we got Rick horsing around in suburbia.
Well, that's true.
Well, I guess I'm the only one riding today.
You're a pain in my ass, Ricky.
So what did we learn this episode? Rick can geek out on engines and posters all day. Chumley will buy any 90s toy under $200. Corey is scared of horses, and the old man still thinks he's the toughest guy alive because of one drunken caribou ride in the Navy. Add in a fake hiking trip that turned into horse NASCAR, and you've got classic Pawn Stars chaos.
Come on, girl. Come on, boy. Come on.
The episode kicks off with Rick roasting the old man for parking across the lines like a drunk giraffe. Rick says those white lines are to park between, not on. The old man fires back, claiming drivers in their 60s and 70s are the best. Corey instantly calls that nonsense, joking he probably learned to drive from Fred Flintstone. The old man's reply? Everyone can kiss his ass. He's the best damn driver around. Family roast session level, savage.
You're supposed to park between them, not on them.
Look, my damn parking lot, I'll park where I want to.
Then business kicks in, literally rock and roll business. A seller strolls in with a 1965 Dan Electro Longhorn bass guitar once owned by John Entwistle of The Who. Rick lights up, explaining Entwistle was one of the best bassists in history, even voted Bass Player of the Millennium. The seller asks for $50,000, saying he bought it at Sotheby's estate auction in 2003. Rick, clearly starstruck, admits he listened to The Who while everyone else was blasting Zeppelin.
Electro Longhorn bass, owned by John Entwistle of The Who.
Seriously?
One of his first basses that he ever owned.
That is amazing.
The seller drops a bomb. Entwistle originally tried recording My Generation with this bass, but kept breaking the strings and switched to a Fender. That's basically like having Babe Ruth's bat that cracked in warm-ups. Still historic. Rick admits it's cool, but he's unsure without expert help. Cue Jesse, the guitar guru. Corey mocks Rick in the background, saying he makes the bass look uncool. Honestly, accurate. Rick holding a bass looks like a dad at karaoke night.
But he kept breaking the strings and then had to resort to a Fender jazz bass for the final recording.
All right, and the rest is history.
What's up with the Sotheby's tag? Is that where you got it?
Sotheby's auction.
Jesse arrives, inspects the bass, and explains Dan Electros were mid-range beginner instruments, but with a unique sound. He notes it's clean, not much wear, which might mean Entwistle didn't thrash it too hard. Retail, around $10,000 to $15,000 tops with provenance, not anywhere near $50,000. Rick offers $10,000, seller refuses, saying he wouldn't take less than $30,000 or his wife will send him back to Texas. Seller leaves with the guitar, Rick left with dreams of rock stardom dashed.
But they have a really neat sound and a lot of guys picked them up and started using them because of that.
All right. He says that he played this in the studio.
Next up, something completely different. A 1968 Nixon campaign paper dress. Yes, you heard that right. An actual dress made out of paper with Nixon's name plastered across it. Rick instantly jokes, "Imagine getting caught in a rainstorm. I'm not a crook, I'm just naked." The seller asks for $1,600, explaining paper dresses were a 60s fad. Rick tries to picture anyone wearing one today and bursts out laughing. Crisis narrowly avoided.
I have never seen a Nixon paper dress.
They were discontinued after a while because there were so many fire hazards, actually.
Oh, well, no, just imagine getting caught in a rainstorm.
Yeah.
Rick explains campaign items depend heavily on how popular the president is. If it were a Kennedy dress, jackpot. But Nixon? Not so much. He starts at $300. They haggle like mad. $400, $360, finally closing at $360. Rick says he hopes the next owner keeps it in a watertight container. Honestly, this might be the most impractical campaign merch in history. Half dress, half fire hazard.
When you get campaign stuff like this, it really depends on how popular the president is now. If you had a Kennedy dress, it would go for more.
Meanwhile, back at the shop, the old man's eyesight becomes the family's favorite target. Rick says he can't even see a book 6 inches from his face, let alone park a car. Corey claims he drives by braille, bumping along the road dividers. The old man swears he hasn't had a wreck in 20 years. Rick insists he needs a driving test. After enough teasing, the old man explodes. "Fine, I'll take your damn test. Cue the setup for comedy gold."
Rick, what does that say?
You're not wearing your glasses?
Grandpa, put your glasses on. You can't see.
Oh, shut up, Corey.
They head to a vacant lot, setting up cones for a makeshift DMV exam. Rick tells him not to hit any cones. The old man mutters it's stupid. Chum volunteers to guide him, but the old man says he'd rather avoid him entirely. As the test begins, Corey and Chum start betting. $20 says he can't even start the car. The old man revs it up, then instantly plows through cones like it's a demolition derby.
Y'all down for this, Dad?
Oh, shut up.
We came out to a vacant lot today to have my dad take it driving.
The family watches in horror as he reverses into cones, hits more while driving forward, and nearly clips Chum. Rick mutters, "This is scarier than I thought." Finally, the old man finishes, proudly declaring he nailed it. Rick points out he hit every cone. The old man claims he only hit the ones with Chum's face taped on, calling it target practice. Honestly, comedy gold. Chum just looks relieved he survived.
Oh, God. What the hell is he doing? I think he's... Oh!
Back inside, Corey's day brightens when a seller rolls up with a 1940 Indian Chief motorcycle with sidecar. The seller explains it was built for World War II, sent to the French, then captured and used by the Germans. Corey's instantly drooling. The seller asks for $55,000 to $60,000, saying less than 400 survive. Corey wisely calls in his buddy Chris, a vintage bike expert. The seller smirks, claiming he knows more than any expert. Bold words.
My 1940 Indian Chief with sidecar. I'm an Indian collector. I'm selling to pay for my daughter's college. I'd like to come out with $45,000.
Chris arrives and goes full fanboy, calling it museum quality. He explains Indian motorcycles were way more reliable than Harley Davidsons, which often broke down. He takes it for a test ride with Corey in the sidecar, bouncing around like it's a carnival ride. Verdict? Around $46,000. The seller frowns, convinced it's worth $60,000. Negotiations get heated. Corey starts at $38,000, seller demands $40,000, and finally, Corey caves at $40,000. Seller walks away happy, tuition money secured.
Dirt road, you don't want to be going too crazy. The guy will fly out of the sidecar bouncing so much.
You look like a sidecar kind of guy.
The episode ends back in the parking lot. The old man smugly announces he parked perfectly between the lines. Rick points out, yes, but in his spot. The old man shrugs, saying he didn't see Rick's name on it. Corey tells him to keep messing with Rick, and the old man smirks like he just won the Indy 500. Honestly, between the bass, the paper dress, and his cone massacre, the old man is the real star of this episode.
Can you tell me why you parked in my parking spot?
I wanted to show you that I'm a good driver, so I parked directly between the two lines.
The episode kicks off with Rick finding the old man snoozing again. Rick jokes that he's not asleep, he's just resting his eyes. Sure, Pops, that's what everyone says right before they start snoring. Rick pulls Corey and Chum aside, worried he's sleeping more than usual. Chum's brilliant solution? He needs gin. Rick clarifies, ginseng, not booze. Corey jokes about giving him energy shots. These guys are basically plotting to turn the old man into a walking Red Bull.
Hey, Pops.
What?
I got a book on colonial coins came in last week. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
The first big item rolls in. A customer brings a 1969 Gibson Les Paul professional guitar. Rick instantly nerds out, calling Les Paul the man who invented the sound of rock and roll. The seller wants $500 to $600, but admits he doesn't really play. Rick notices the pickups and wiring look odd, unsure if it's a rare model or a butchered guitar. His solution? Call in Jesse, the resident guitar guru, because when Rick's confused, an expert saves the day.
I got a Les Paul professional.
Nice. Back in the 1970s when I was a teenager, that's all I wanted was a Les Paul.
Back to the old man. Corey tries to pump him up with a mystery energy drink. Pop sniffs it, declares it smells like poison, and demands coffee instead. Corey insists it's 10 cups of coffee in one. The old man gags and declares coffee is nectar of the gods. Watching him roast Corey while sipping his regular cup is priceless. Clearly, this man has survived the Great Depression, World War II, and raising Rick. No way a neon energy shot is taking him down.
What is that?
It's chock full of vitamins and caffeine. It's like 10 cups of coffee.
Don't even smell good.
Just drink it.
Jesse arrives to inspect the Les Paul, instantly lighting up. He explains it's a rare model Les Paul actually used himself, complete with low impedance pickups and custom switching. He opens it up and confirms all parts are original, dated to 1969. Value, about $2,200. The seller's jaw drops. He was thinking hundreds, not thousands. Rick immediately smells a deal, and you can almost hear him calculating profits in real time.
What you have here is a Les Paul professional. If it wasn't for Les Paul, rock and roll as you know it today probably wouldn't even exist.
Now the negotiation. The seller, emboldened, asks for $1,800. Rick fires back with $1,200, explaining he'll only resell for about $1,600. They haggle back and forth, $1,500, $1,400, until Rick sticks firm at $1,400. The seller finally agrees. Rick walks away smirking, bragging it's rare to find one in this shape in Vegas. Translation: someone's about to shred some Hendrix riffs in their garage with a pawn shop score.
When the expert said $2,200, I couldn't believe it.
So what do you want for it?
Well, now that I kind of know, $1,800.
Meanwhile, Chum tries his own health experiment on the old man, this time with ginseng candy. Pops eyes him suspiciously, asks if it's a drug, then reluctantly chews one. To everyone's shock, he actually likes it. Chum proudly declares it grows in the Appalachian Mountains, while the old man snarks that maybe he should take some too. Watching Chum beam like he just saved Grandpa's life with a piece of candy is pure comedy gold.
Rick's worried that the old man's napping too much at work, but I got the old man's back with some natural goodness that'll definitely keep him up. Wakey, wakey.
What?
I want you to try some ginseng.
Next up, Corey gets a visit from a seller with a 1934 Rolls-Royce Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament. The guy dreams of $2,000 to help pay for his daughter's wedding. Corey retells the scandalous backstory. Lord Montague put his mistress Eleanor Thornton on his Rolls-Royce, making it the most expensive mistress merch ever. Corey jokes he either loved her a lot or really hated his wife. The seller laughs, but Corey's poker face says, "Not paying $2,000?"
What he wanted this sculpture on the hood of his car and had this made. Turns out that it was of a woman named Eleanor Thornton, who was a secretary.
Corey makes his move, offering $200 flat. The seller is stunned. Corey explains collectors want actual Rolls Royces, not hood ornaments stolen from them. The seller refuses, saying he'll just keep it. Corey shrugs and mutters that at least the daughter gets a wedding gift. Translation: the pawn shop just saved $2,000, and Corey still got to crack jokes about mistresses. Honestly, win-win.
What would you offer?
I'd give you like $200, man. It's cool, but it's not. Yeah, that's.
Rick tries again to keep Pops awake, this time with espresso and crossword puzzles. The old man scoffs that espresso is a yuppie drink. Rick convinces him to sip, and suddenly, Pops is hooked. He mutters, "Damn, that's good." Rick suggests crosswords too, but the old man shoots him down, saying he can stick it. At least espresso passed the test. Watching a World War II veteran discover lattes at 80 years old is peak Pawn Stars.
So you don't sleep as much. So I think, you drink a little espresso and then, work on crossword puzzles, exercise the mind.
The next customer arrives with 2 giant antique carousel horses. He claims they're French from the 1920s, worth $8,000 total. Rick gives a full history lesson. Carousel horses used for medieval training, then evolving into carnival rides. He explains European ones look dignified, while American ones look like wild Mustangs. The seller beams as Rick inspects them, until Rick realizes there's no hole for the poles. Translation: these never spun on a carousel. Fake alert.
What are these?
Well, I got some old antique carousel horses I'd like to sell.
Cool.
Rick delivers the bad news. They're reproductions, likely made in the 1980s. Value? Nowhere near the thousands the seller hoped for. The seller asks if Rick wants to make an offer anyway, but Rick politely declines. The guy shrugs, muttering he'll keep them. Rick sighs, explaining carousel horses skyrocketed in the 80s, which means fakes exploded too. His final line is perfect. "That's why I always look closely before I put my money on a horse." Savage.
I'm asking like $4,000 a piece for them.
This is my big problem with them, though. I'm damn near positive these are reproductions.
The caffeine finally kicks in. The old man storms out barking orders. Chum to the warehouse, Corey to inventory, Rick to the sales floor. Rick mutters this backfired big time. Pops grins, finally wide awake and terrorizing everyone. Corey and Chum admit they loaded him up with energy drinks, ginseng, and espresso. Rick sighs, saying he just wanted him awake, not turning into a drill sergeant. Pawn Stars ends with the old man fully powered up. Proof you never mix Grandpa with Starbucks.
What's going on, boys?
What's up, Grandpa?
I just been working.
Been working?
Yeah, cleaning these filthy counters. All right.
The episode kicks off with Rick hyping up his first ever garage sale. He's bragging about selling skateboard decks, old shoes, even a blender. Corey and Chum instantly pull the classic "I'm busy" routine. Corey's supposedly changing lawnmower oil while Chum claims he's rewinding videotapes in 2016. Rick sighs, muttering how the one time he needs help, his family suddenly has fake chores. Welcome to the Harrison household, where rewind is still an excuse.
What's up, Grandpa?
This weekend we'll ride up to Ely and ride the Nevada Northern Train System.
The first customer strolls in with history in his hands, a Winchester 1860 Henry rifle. Rick calls it the Yankee gun you load on Sunday and shoot till Thursday. The seller drops a $40,000 price tag like it's pocket change. Rick admires its history, 28 rounds per minute back when everyone else was still pouring powder down barrels. Revolutionary, sure, but when Rick shines a light inside the bore, he sees where. Translation: this gun has seen some serious action.
It is a Winchester model 1860 Henry rifle.
This one is what the South called that damn Yankee gun.
The seller insists $40,000 is fair, but Rick fires back with a brutal $20,000 offer. The man nearly faints. He's not coming down that far. Rick shrugs, telling him to shop around. Classic Rick move. Sound reasonable while lowballing like he's buying used sneakers, not Civil War firepower. The seller leaves, clearly disappointed. Somewhere, Winchester historians are shaking their heads at pawn shop economics.
How much do you want for it?
$40,000.
I just think your price is really steep.
Then things get prehistoric. A guy brings in what he swears are dinosaur eggs, asking $20,000. Corey examines them, admits they look egg-like, but could just be fancy rocks. He calls in his paleontologist buddy Tom. The seller's hoping for Jurassic Park level money, but Corey's grin says, prepare to be disappointed. Honestly, I was half expecting Chum to suggest frying one up for breakfast.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
What do we have here?
I've been told these are a couple dinosaur eggs.
Tom arrives and inspects the shells. He confirms they're 70 to 80 million years old and real, but with a twist. One egg was added later to make them look like a set fake nesting vibes. Even worse, they're from a duck-bill dinosaur. Corey laughs, calling it the lamest dino of all time. Tom argues they were T-Rex food, but let's be real. Nobody brags about owning the chicken nugget of the dinosaur world.
A woman brought in what she says are dinosaur eggs. There can definitely be a market for them, but you can't tell what they are by just looking at them.
Then comes the hammer, value. Tom says $300 to $600 per egg, tops. That $20,000 dream just died harder than a meteor strike. The seller looks crushed, but Corey still offers $400. After some awkward haggling, they settle at $500. Corey smirks, bragging he'll tell Chum they're about to hatch. Honestly, trolling Chumley with fake baby dinos might be the best ROI this shop has ever seen.
Value of these eggs is nowhere near what they were in the early years, because there are actually tens of thousands of these eggs on the international market today.
Meanwhile, Rick's garage sale finally kicks off. He proudly waves flyers labeled Silver and Gold Garage Sale, which Corey immediately calls trademark infringement against Gold and Silver Pawn. Even better, Rick burned through the shop's printer ink making them. The old man mutters that at least Rick showed initiative. Translation: Rick killed the office supplies budget for a garage sale flyer with a clip art map.
Come to the world-famous Silver and Gold Garage Sale.
The Silver and Gold Garage Sale.
Enter Chumley, who sets up a table with vintage 1980s wrestling toys. Rick strolls over, trying to lowball, but Chum ain't having it. He snarls, "Take it or leave it, $50. Rick, shocked, tries educating him about wrestling history, but Chum shuts him down and makes him pay full price. Rick mutters he was going to offer $100, but Chum's attitude killed it. Watching Rick get pawned at his own garage sale? Priceless.
Rick, what are you doing here?
Figured I'd stop by and look at your yard sale.
Then a barber walks in with a massive 1800s Koken barber chair. The guy wants $5,000, claiming it's treasure. Rick loves it. Hydraulics, headrest, chrome, all intact but rough. He calls in Bob, the restoration expert, who quotes $2,500 to make it pristine. Restored, it could hit $5,000 to $6,000. Rick's math brain starts spinning. Time to cut the price in half.
This is old.
From the 1800s, it's old wooden Koken barber chair.
So you cut hair?
Yes, I'm a barber.
Rick offers $1,500. The seller pushes back with $4,000. Rick goes up to $2,000 max, explaining there's not enough profit otherwise. The seller refuses to drop below $3,500. Negotiation stalemate. Seller leaves, saying he'll restore it himself. Rick shrugs, but you know he's salty. Nothing hurts Rick more than a chair he can't sit on for profit.
Oh, you heard him.
Yeah, it's worth $5 or $6 grand done. Let me give you $1,500 for it.
About $4 grand.
There's no money in it at $4 grand, dude.
And then the garage sale climax. Rick discovers Chum marked up those same wrestling toys to $500. Rick tries to flex his toy knowledge, rattling off facts about the 1985 ring set, but Chum just smirks. Rick admits he was willing to pay more earlier, but Chum's sass killed it. Folks, Rick just got pawned twice by Chum in the same day, at his own garage sale. The irony writes itself.
Oh, sweet. Roddy Piper.
That's right.
You got him for sale, huh? For how much?
$500.